Hello, thanks for joining me for an episode of Cook Along, and I have an easy pasta dish to share with you. Ricotta gnocchi, giant ricotta gnocchi, but they have a secret twist added to them. Now, the ricotta filling, the dough itself is easy to mix up, shaping them is simple, but then there's the secret technique that gives them a perfect outer layer that holds that creamy ricotta filling inside. You need to stay with me for these ricotta gnocchi. All right, well, being ricotta gnocchi, it all starts with the ricotta. And the ricotta I have here is the kind that has been drained. It's got a coarse curd, so it comes packed in paper because it was draining in a basket for a while. You can even see where the basket shape would be. If you're using tub ricotta, the creamier style, I have to insist that you drain it overnight. So that means you put it in a fine sieve over a bowl and let it drain overnight in the fridge. Otherwise, you'll have ricotta gnocchi that are just too slippery and hard to deal with, and you won't get that beautiful shape. So this is a more dense, as you can see, dense style ricotta. I'm gonna break it up and soften it first before I add the other ingredients. And this gives me a moment to talk about the inspiration for this dish. So my husband and I travel a fair bit. We host culinary tours, so if you're interested, well, check out the link below to our upcoming tours, and we've always got new ones planned. Of small groups, so much food. We go to food producers. Okay, enough about that. Back to the ricotta and the ricotta gnocchi. So we were at a beautiful restaurant in the town of Lipari on the Aeolian Islands that sit above Sicily. And sitting outside as the sun is setting, this course of a single ricotta gnocco was brought to us, covered in a squid ink sauce. And it was so remarkable and delicious, the contrast of the white ricotta filling and the dark exterior. So we were discussing amongst us at the table, how did that outside layer get made? Was it pastry? What was it? But it was just such a perfect dish. Our tour coordinator, Giovanni, went into the kitchen and asked the chef, and I love when you think something is so complicated and then you find out it's so simple. And I'm about to share the secret with you in a minute. First, let's get to those filling ingredients. Now that my ricotta is nice and soft, a 1/4 cup of semolina. So this is that coarse semolina wheat, as opposed to the fine semolina, finely ground flour. This is actually coarse, so it absorbs the moisture in the ricotta, very important. I'll add a whole egg and an egg yolk. I'll separate the whites. Now, admittedly, the chef didn't give us the whole recipe. I had to go home and figure it out. And so I like the added extra yolk for the richness it adds to the texture of the gnocchi when you bite into it. Now, being that this is a dish from Sicily, every time I think of Sicily, I think of those gorgeous lemons and the aroma, the perfume that just seems to sit in the air on a steamy day. So I'm adding, even though this isn't traditional, I'm adding lemon zest just to bring back that memory of Sicily in the dish. Just about a teaspoon, not too much. We don't want these tasting too lemony. And a teaspoon, I want some fine salt so it dissolves evenly into the ricotta. Ricotta tends to be very mild. And I think that is it. That's how simple it is. So I'll just stir this together to combine it. Oh, on our trip, we even visited a cheese producer that makes ricotta, and it's the only ricotta the Aeolian Islands use, or it's the favored one. Cannoli, that's another topic. Let's start with the gnocchi first. These are simple. Okay, so I can see everything is nicely blended. Now comes the magic. What I like to do is take a pie plate and put in some extra semolina. I'm going to leave some in my bowl here. So this is, the key step is planning your gnocchi a day ahead of when you want to serve it. So using a portion scoop, or you can use 2 spoons, I scoop the ricotta into my semolina. You can also shape it between your palms, and you give it a good coating in the semolina, and then you just nest it onto your pie plate with the remaining semolina and continue scooping. So you want to give each gnocco a good coating of semolina before you put it into the bed of semolina. What we learned was the chef had a big deep bin and he would submerge the gnocchi in the semolina. And well, the average person is not going to have 25 kilos of semolina kicking around. So I made do with the pie plate and the cup of semolina, which you can use to make pasta later on. But what happens when you think about it, the moisture comes out of the ricotta, it comes in contact with the semolina granules, and then those granules plump up and absorb some of the moisture. And what happens when you combine water and semolina? Pasta. So when you boil these gnocchi, that outer layer actually cooks up like a layer of pasta sealing in the ricotta cheese. It's very sheer, so it's not like having a lasagna sheet over the gnocchi, but what it does for the texture and keeping the ricotta in shape is just brilliant. I find I get, depending how I'm feeling with my scoops, about a dozen of these gnocchi. But you can see with this drier style of ricotta, it handles well. It's not falling apart. It's got a nice thick curd to it. I have made this recipe so many times since we've returned from our trip, honestly. Anyone who comes over to our house gets what you're getting. You're getting ricotta gnocchi to start. And Mom, you know you're getting the leftovers of this because we served them to my mom and now she's hooked. So I find with this recipe, I get a single layer that fits nicely into a pie plate or a similar dish. I think I can get one more. It really takes no time at all. You just have to plan the day ahead. Because now, you can't just leave these for an hour. You need to let them cure in the semolina overnight. So I'm going to take my remaining semolina and just pour that on top. I'll loosely cover the dish and I let these sit overnight. So you can make them a full day ahead of time. What I do is if I'm making these in the afternoon or evening, the next morning, I'll go into the fridge and I flip them over. Because you'll find the moisture settles to the bottom, you'll have a thicker layer of semolina on the bottom, so you want to flip them so that they have a chance to even out and fully get an even layer of the semolina. So let me pop these in the fridge and I'll be back. After your gnocchi have sat overnight, you can really see how they've picked up that semolina. They kind of really settle into it. So now these are ready to cook. I have a pot of boiling water. I'm just going to cook a single order. I find because these are now sealed in semolina, these will keep for about 2 to 3 days. Ricotta is best enjoyed fresh, so I don't leave them longer than that. If you want to freeze them, then cook them all, drain them well, and then freeze them like that. Let me salt my water. Now the question is, what is a single order? I guess it depends if you're having these as an appetizer, in which case 2 or 3 would do. And just as a note, I do not have a recipe for the squid ink sauce to go with this dish. So what I have instead is my summer edition of tomato sauce. I have the full recipe here on Oyam, so you can go check out the video, whip up a batch of this, or use your favorite tomato sauce, of course, if you prefer. You'll find that the semolina that didn't stick to the gnocchi comes off in the water a little bit, but it's such a small amount. And because of that semolina layer, I give these 5 to 6 minutes to cook. That way the ricotta and the egg in there cooks fully, but also the pasta skin on the outside does too. When you're cooking your gnocchi, you don't want to stir them. You don't want to break that pasta skin as they cook up. Oh, if the thought of a culinary tour appeals, well, you have to join us. These trips are amazing. These tours are fully bespoke. You won't find them anywhere online. Our tour coordinator, Giovanni, is incredible. And they're small groups, so they tend to sell out fast, sometimes before we even can bring them to the public. So if you want to find out, the best way to get details is sign up for my newsletter, details below, because I announce these trips. And also, Giovanni has a VIP mailing list. And so those details are below in case you are interested in learning more. Our trips are a beautiful balance of delicious meals, fine dining, and very rustic. Really, we get you behind the scenes to places you would never find on your own. And both Michael and I are there to guide you, give you insight, so you walk into a place understanding what the experience is all about. And it is delicious, believe me. Okay, these I think are done. Wow, you can see how the gnocchi have expanded as they've cooked, but they do hold their shape. I think these are ready to sauce up. Let's see. I've heated up some of my tomato sauce. If you've got a recipe for a squid ink sauce, I'd love to hear from you if you write it below, because the squid ink sauce we had the first time we enjoyed this dish was absolutely amazing. Whoop, whoop, scooch over. But with the tomato sauce and a little grated cheese, just a bit of pecorino. The saltiness will bring out the sweetness in the ricotta, some pepper. How impressive, making gnocchi from scratch with this great technique that will just have your guests guessing when you serve this dish to them. I hope you'll give this a try. Check out my essential summer tomato sauce recipe, and I'll see you again for another cook along or maybe another bake along. Plus, a new series is coming your way. Oh my gosh, I have so many recipes to share. Thank you again, everyone. Oh, so soft and tender. And 1,000,000 degrees. I'm gonna wave goodbye now before I take a bite. Bye, everyone. Oh, you have to get a close-up. You can see the pasta layer.